All right, welcome. So we're up in my preconditioning room. This is where the air is coming in from outside, being filtered, cooled down, and then additionally cooled down to around 50 degrees, 45 degrees before it's put into the fruiting room. So we call this a preconditioning room. The reason why it's preconditioning is it's trying to get all the temperature down from 100 degrees or 105 down to whatever it needs to be in fruiting, or the opposite in winter. It's going to heat it up in winter. I'm not a huge fan of how this all went down, and I want to talk a little bit about this room, how I did it, and how I wouldn't do it again. So some of the key features I'll point out, we got a 1.5 tons, which is 18,000 BTU air conditioner. That is a mini split. This could also be done with a window unit. It could be done with a package unit, and it could be done with a ducted mini split. And that's the way that I would probably go if I did this again. I also have heat exchangers. So if any of you guys remember my video a couple years ago about my HRV system, well, this is the next version of it. What it's doing is there's these lines here that have water flowing through them. I went with poly lines this time instead of PVC. It's a lot easier to run. There's just one length of tubing that runs all the way down to fruiting. And what's happening is that water is being pumped by a circulator pump, and the air as it's being exhausted out of the fruiting room is getting captured by the heat exchanger. You know, it's going through the heat exchanger and then out the fan. So it's cooling down or heating up that water depending on if it's summer or winter. And then it comes to up here and it goes through these heat exchangers, okay? So one improvement that I made recently was, this is a 20 by 20 heat exchanger. I actually double stacked them. And I was talking to my friend Brad, and he was saying, hey, if you double stack them, it'll make it more efficient. I was getting good numbers out of it, but having that double stack really boosted it. It's something like 20-degree drop. When it's 100 degrees outside, it'll be about 80 degrees of air coming through here. So it's pulling a good amount of, I'm getting a good amount of tonnage of air conditioning recovery out of this system. Okay. So one thing that I had happen with this was we actually froze it out this winter. We had a really cold winter here in the US this year. It was -21 for like a couple days, and I did not put coolant in the system. It was water. So it froze out and blew out all the fins on the one side. Lesson learned on that. When I went to upgrade it, when I went to replace it, I upgraded to two stacked units. Very important that if you're going to do something like this, that it is counterflow. So your air is flowing this way, your water is flowing the opposite. So the water comes in on the one closest to you. And the reason why is you want the coldest water to hit the coldest air, the last air to go through, or vice versa in wintertime, right? It's more efficient like that. So on this, I have a AC Infinity fan. I really love these fans. They really are like next generation kind of fan. They're electronic digital drive motor. It's an ECM motor. So they're really good if you're gonna dim them. I'm running this is a 6-inch. I'm running it on speed 4, and that's for a 260 square foot fruiting room. So the air comes into here, it gets sucked into that air conditioner, and then I ended up having to enclose this. And this is why I would have just done a ducted unit or a package unit, or just like a furnace unit with an air conditioner on it. Because ducting a ductless mini split is kind of like silly. Like if you're gonna duct a ductless, just get a ducted, right? So if I was going to do this again, I would skip the whole room, just do a ducted mini split, or a package unit, or like an air handling unit, whatever they call it for a home furnace, and just have this on the side of it on the intake, and then go into the package unit or the ducted, and then go right into fruiting. One thing that you'll learn really quick with, what I learned really quick with this room, is you need to insulate everything, because if you don't insulate everything enough, you'll get condensation, and then you get water. And then you get water damage if you don't stay on top of it. So everything's very thick foam. I have like 3 inches of foam all around the room. You got to insulate your duct, because the duct will sweat and drip otherwise. And then, yeah, so that was a big thing. The other thing that I have underneath here is there's a big drip pan. So this is one of those like under your bed pans, because yes, there's condensate drip pan inside of the mini split that catches everything off the coils. But this thing gets so cold, especially when it's very hot out and very humid out. This room, it gets very humid. There's a little bit of water right there that I'm touching. That will get completely soaked just because this gets cold. So the whole unit will drip. So that's why I installed this. And then also on the HRV system, you have to put a pan under that. So I have another, it's just a drip pan that I made out of a tote, and then I put a bulkhead fitting over here, and it goes to outside. So yeah, really important you get the moisture out of here. I actually had an issue where this wasn't high enough, and what happened was the water was dripping around it, going underneath, and I had to rip up the whole floor, redo it because there was water damage underneath. That was my summer. So yeah, make sure you have drip pans on everything that's going to be leaking. So with the HRV system, one thing I want to point out is you got to have a spot for the air to go. Like, so I have an expansion tank over there, and that expansion tank, I'll fill the system up from down below. I have a spot that I can hook my hose up to, and then it fills the whole system up and all the air gets pushed out, and that has to be at the high spot. So I have that over here with the T. And there's different ways to do that. You could just have a big T with whatever, but I have a little auto reservoir. Okay, so now we're down in the fruiting room. The fresh air is coming in at the opposite end of the room where it's being preconditioned coming in. And then there's a couple of circulation fans in here above the camera. And then the exhaust fan is right here. So here's another one of the heat exchangers that is capturing the cold air in here and putting it into the water. Again, the air is counterflowing the water, so the water is flowing in the back and then out the front, and the air is going that way. We have this on a hinge so we can easily clean the fan back there, just hose it down pretty much. This is a waterproof greenhouse fan. I got it from Greenhouse Megastore. It is too big for this setup. It's too many CFMs. I think it's rated for like 800. So we have it on a louver. It already came with louvers, and we have it where there's a screw in the louver, the bottom louver, that you can adjust how open or how closed the louvers are. Right now we have them about 3/4 of an inch open. So yeah, this fan has held up for 2.5 years so far with all the humidity in the fruiting room, which is very uncommon for most motors and fans in fruiting rooms. They last like a year or two. So yeah, that's the system that we have. It is dimmed, but even being dimmed, it's not enough. Even dimmed all the way down, it's not enough. So if you are going to do a heat exchanger like this, both in your fruiting room and in your preconditioning room, or however you're going to do it if it's on a ducted system, you're going to want to drill out holes to drain out this bottom pan. Otherwise, it's going to fill up with water. In here, it fills up with just mist. Up there, it fills up with the condensate off the fins. So yeah, you really want to do that. And that's pretty much it for the HRV system and the exhaust system. Hopefully you like this video. Big shout out to all my Patreon supporters who inspire me to shoot more videos. And if you guys need any supply, equipment, bags, whatever, I got it. So hit up myersmushrooms.com, shop online, and we try to ship same day usually. Everything's in stock for the most part. And thank you for all your support, and y'all have a good day. Thanks for tuning in.